Quiet. Platoon, let's do a little singing this morning. Slap leg, feel great, wine women, hold on.
I had 6 years of military school at that time. I did 3 years of drill team and color guard, so I knew precise movement. And my senior year, I was actually the commander of a color guard, and I was the commander of a drill team. It was unarmed exhibition drill team with the 12-man squad, I think. So it's just one line of 12 plus the squad leader. So it was boring as fuck. I've been drilling for 6 fucking years. So
That's crazy.
fuck that shit. All I remember is some guys pissed themselves fucking because they wouldn't tell them that they had to take emergency piss call. I remember when I asked permission, which I know I was going to pay for later with intensive training, but the Porter John was locked because it wasn't Friday graduation day, so it's locked up. And so fuck drill. That's what I gotta say about that shit.
When like I said, that first week that you were in and they had you in that holding platoon, I was like one of like maybe 6 other guys out of the group that was also from ROTC. So that's where you would like, okay, hey, these guys know how to do it. So drill instructor that's in charge of you then would be like, listen to what these guys say because they're going to teach you how to do the drill. So it's kind of like, you get put into a position to kind of lead off, starting off, but then give me the ones I almost, wanting to speak up to say, hey, I can help out if you want. Let me work with the ones that are having problems. That's where you like in the squad bay. Nah, I ain't trying to pull heat up on me. So when you had those free times on those Sundays, you just walk up to the cat and be like, hey, dude, let me work with you a little bit on what you're having problems with or not understanding when they're calling the cadence and calling that specific command. But
yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I think it was like actual dedicated drill was probably like 4 hours a week, where we got taught some shit. I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal. But every single time we left the barracks, it was drill. Like we had the guide on. One of us would get picked to be the platoon, sergeant calling cadence and shit like that. And so we got drill like no matter where we went. And Fort Knox, we walked everywhere. There was no getting on shuttles or anything like that. So everywhere we went, it was fucking drill. And I didn't mind it. It was very confusing at first. Not because I was bad at it, but because a lot of motherfuckers were bad at it. Like really fucking bad. And so we got smoked a lot. And it just, man, I don't miss it. I don't miss doing drill.
Right? I don't miss it either.
I second that.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was initially kind of fun in the beginning because it was something new, but once you kind of got it down, you're like, this is so freaking boring. And it's our platoon alone, not our sister platoon. Something about us, we just still couldn't get it right. It's our walking, not so much the actual holding the rifle. We just couldn't figure out to save our lives. We were always stepping on each other's feet or missing the foot we were supposed to be stepping on, or we were just never the right distance when we would do certain drill movements. Yeah, it was crazy. But my first senior drill instructor loved doing it because that's just what she used to do. But coming to my second one, she didn't do it as much. She didn't like it, so she would always send the other drill instructors to go out and kind of do it with us. But yeah, every time we had competition, never, I think, ever won.
I'm going to teach you how to tie a bowline knot so you can get your sorry asses down from a height, so I may then kick them. Cradle loop. This is the rabbit hole. The rabbit comes out of his hole, runs around the tree, goes back into the hole. All right? Let's go. Very good, Tex. Keep struggling, Teach. Have you ever roped a goat, Hollywood?
No, Sarge.
Have you ever looked into a goat's eyes?
No, Sarge.
Good, that would be unnatural. You know if you don't breathe, you'll die.
Mm-hmm.
Good, Private Idiot. Congratulations, Greaseball. You just fell 50 feet and broke your neck. Brilliant. Private Vito Vanelli. You strangled yourself, numbnuts. Are you a fan of Benito?
No,
Get
Sergeant!
taller. If you're American, you'd be taller. What do we got here, Doss? One for each titty. You were tying a bowline, boy, not building a bra.
I once again, JROTC, I was on the single rope bridge team, did rappel tower, did the confidence course, did the obstacle course. In JROTC, they have a leadership course, and leadership courses, you go to military installations. And in California, it was usually at Fort Hunter Liggett training facility, or it was at Camp Parks, another training facility for California National Guard. So when we did it, the only thing they wouldn't let us do was Aussie, which is backwards rappelling down, so facing downwards.
Yeah.
But it was, you know, it's, I'm kind of fear of heights now, but back then I loved it.
Believe because like I said, there are so many of us there from having the extras coming in from the West Coast. You have the rappel tower where you go down the side of the wall,
Okay.
and then the straight hole down. So it was like you did either one. We didn't go through and do both. There wasn't enough to be able to get everybody through the whole training on it, I guess. But I went down the side of the wall, so I guess that wasn't bad. I don't think that was probably as scary as maybe climbing the rope. I'd say climbing the rope where you don't have anything actually connecting yourself to it, and then or having to jump off the what is it that goes up to 38 feet on the highest dive. Little bit of the height, but there was more like safety security there when you're going down rappel because you're strapped on. It's the only way you can go down is if you were squeezing. You got your secondary of you holding on to the rope behind you too. So you're like, all right.
Yeah, we got I think we spent way more time just learning knots and with
Really?
ropes and shit. And then we had to do the rappel tower. It wasn't very big. I don't even think it was like 40 some feet or nothing like that. I think it was only like a 20-foot tower. And we did get to go down twice. I don't think we had anyone fall. We didn't have someone holding us either, though. It was, I don't know how to describe it. They're like hooked up top, and then you had your own harness that you made with the rope, and then you just went down with your little carabiner. But it was pretty quick. Like, you got to understand, like, Cav Scouts, since we're all in 16 weeks, everything's kind of like shotgun blast at you. So we don't spend a whole lot of time on any one thing. So it went pretty quick. It was fun.
Yeah, we were the same way. It was pretty scattered out, but like I went twice as well. I wasn't scared or anything, but I was more excited because I was like, oh God, finally something dangerous to kind of do. But I remember standing there. But going down, it was a lot harder than I thought it was gonna be. Like I couldn't get the weight of keeping my feet on the wall and like walking yourself down, however they were trying to get me to do it. I just kind of let my feet dangle and stared up and just let my hands go and just kind of let myself slyly slow down. I could not figure it out. So I did get yelled at the first time, but about the second time around, I finally figured out how to kind of keep your feet on the wall and then jump yourself down the way they teach you, stuff like that.
My friend, now that you are awake, I will talk to you about what I have learned on my journey. The arrival of death can be so comforting. It is like the return of a very beautiful companion. Its fire is soft and white and gentle. And when it leaves, it frees the soul.
Boy, I remember this guy had a horseshoe. This was the first horseshoe haircut I ever seen. It's a
Landing
flat top
strip.
where it's so top to the skin of the head where it's actually a horseshoe.
Mhm.
And this guy started going off on history of World War One and this and that and everything. And when we went into the gas chamber, he was specifically saying that I don't care if you lie, if you have contacts, it's going to melt the contacts to your eyes. Take your contacts out. Because apparently, I didn't know this, a lot of people don't want to wear the BCDs, birth control devices, the prescribed glasses you're issued. So this guy
God.
that was behind me, he said, "Hey, I'm going to take out my my shit, and I need you to let me hold on to your shoulder and don't let me lose you." So he grabbed on the back of my shirt or something like that, or my blouse, my BDU blouse, my cami blouse. And I swear to God, this guy took out his fucking contacts. He had a little fucking container for his contacts and everything. And I'm like, how the fuck is this guy sneaking in all this shit? Like, because they strip you. I mean, you fucking strip in front of everybody. They take your fucking underwear, and you have to put on new
Yeah,
underwear.
they do.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, how the fuck this motherfucker sneaking in bottles of whatever you put your fucking shit in at night or whatever, right? For 3 months. And so we did that, and I mean, I did all right in the gas chamber. I mean, they purposely make you breathe some in at the end, so you fucking know how to don and clear it with after you've had some CS. And I mean, it was kind of like afterwards, just don't touch your eyes, don't touch your face. Remember you do the angel run where you let the wind blow all the CS powder off of you. Uh, um, yeah, it was interesting, and luckily I never did the gas chamber the next 4.5 years in the Marine Corps. I always
Lucky you.
not once more.
All right.
As a driver, as you know, Beth, when you get put on the manifest, but you don't have to go through it sometimes. So that's kind of like a cool slide. You watch everybody else come out panicking and shit. But then there's just times where you're like, nah, dude, I got to get in on it too, man. And you're going through it, and you're just, it's just basic things. You just follow the instructions, just do what you're told.
Yeah.
Realize what the situation that you're in, and remember the steps and remember your training. But you come across so many that just start panicking, and it's just like, man, you're just making it worse for yourself, dude.
Right.
Like just breathe a little, like they say, just my instructors would always tell us to blow out and just take a quick 2 second, bit of air
Yeah.
in, and just that just long enough to sustain you.
So yeah, I think the anticipation for me was way worse because they kept on beefing it up like you're gonna fucking die. And
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
like that type of shit.
Yeah, that's us too.
So that was like way worse. And by that time, I think we did it in like the 6th week or something like that. By that time, I was getting cocky because I don't know, that's just my nature. So I was fucking showing off and doing all that shit. But when I got in there, we all go with that fucking mask on and shit, and then they put the little container in the center, and then they drop the fucking thing in, and starts getting pretty bad in there. And we had to take off our masks, and we had to sit there for like a minute or two to make sure you're not holding your breath, and then you have to get up one by one. And
I was like, don't you dare make me do that.
yeah, they had a drill. I don't even know if it was a drill. It was some dude in like an NBC suit, and they were by the door, and you had to go up to them, and they would ask you your fucking cereal, like what's your hometown, like your name, yada yada yada. And I had to repeat mine, I swear to God, like 5 times, and I'm pretty sure my fucking drill sergeant like made that shit happen. And so I was fucking dying. I mean, I had breathed so much goddamn gas in there. I mean, it was pretty fucking bad. Uh, so I mean, it is what it is. You know, a bunch of snot comes out of your head. Afterwards, it wasn't that bad. Like I started realizing, I don't know, I kind of like it. Like fucking gas
Right?
me, you know.
Like clears
But
you out.
we did have this one dude named Jew, Jiu. I don't know where he's at. I haven't caught up with him or anything, but uh, he was inherently immune, completely fucking immune to it.
Fuck yeah.
So we had a unicorn in our platoon, and this guy took off it, and he started kind of acting like he was, you know, like affected by it. I think it was maybe psychological, you know, like I don't know. Everyone told him he was supposed to react to it, so he started doing it. But then he quickly realized that nothing was happening, and he went up to that NBC guy, and you know, he's like saying his social, all that kind of crap. And before he left, like he wasn't getting a reaction, so the NBC guy's like, "Get the fuck out of here," you know. And he took a deep breath as much as he could. And when you open up the door, your drill sergeant's right there about to fucking yell at you and make, you know, all that kind of shit. He turned his fucking head and blew and exhaled all that shit into my drill sergeant's face. Holy fuck. Most badass thing I've ever seen. It was
Oh
the
yeah.
best. And
I'm sure he got cheated with that one.
yeah.
Oh my
That was
God.
I'll never forget that shit. Yeah, totally immune. Never seen that before or heard of it.
Oh my God. I was the last group to go. So we ended up going with our sister platoon because they had to get us all in together. Yeah, so like us, we were all in the mop suits and stuff like that, had our gas masks. So when before I went in, I was trying to prepare myself. I wasn't scared, but I was like, I wasn't sure what to kind of expect. But as soon as I heard one of the females inside the gas chamber like scream like bloody murder, like she was dying. But as soon as they started clearing all them out, they're like, okay. And they patted me on the back, like, let's go. And I was like, oh God, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. Again, there, yeah, like you guys feel, it's a really itchy around your skin. It's very uncomfortable because it's something we've never done before. Is like the best training to really break you down. If anything, I think that's the worst part for me. But shaking your head, making sure the seal's not broken, doing jumping jacks. And I'm like, we've been there for a little while, which felt forever, obviously, because it's your first time. But I know same thing when they had us break our masks open, they wanted you to get a breath in. I was like, no, I'm holding my breath. And I was the last one that came around to, so I'm holding my breath the longest and I couldn't hold it anymore. And I took a deep breath in and I just started coughing and throwing up. And like that's the time they're like, okay, now it's time to leave. I think they were waiting on me to finally take my breath. But yeah, like that was the best drainage I think ever. I've never been sick after that. I think it cleared my entire immune system that day, but what sucked
Oh, yeah.
made the best, I think, experience for all of us.
There are two types of bayonet fighters, the quick and the dead. What are you? What are they? What are you? What are they? What are you? What are they? Any volunteers?
What are you, crazy?
I sure am. I'm a crazy boy. Hello?
Conway,
Yes, ma'am.
come here.
I'm on my way. Woo! Hi.
Hit me.
Let's not fight. Come here.
Hit me or you'll be sorry.
I can't hit you. You're a girl. And I love you.
You got 2 seconds to hit me.
Okay, but this is gonna
Any other
hurt.
volunteers?
Oh, shit. I'm sorry. I was just gonna...
I'm gonna teach you a lesson. Never drop your guard.
Got it. Can I please throw up now?
That was the favorite thing in boot camp, period. Fuck yeah. So there's 3 stages of pugil stick. The first stage, you're in a circle. The second stage, you're on a bridge. The third stage, you're in the fucking pit. And the pit is where your DIs are like fucking gambling like it's Vegas. Like, yeah, come on, 1105, 1105. You know, my fucking platoon, 1105, right? Fucking going in there and shit. I won 2 out of 3. I won first, second match, and then in the pit, I lost. And you could tell that the fucking senior DIs are pitting and counting because at the end of the day, they're gonna fucking say which platoon had more. And I can't remember if we had more or less, but whatever it was, I'm pretty sure it was pretty close because our platoons were almost 80 men in each platoon. There's 3 platoons per series, and there's 6 platoons per company because there's 2 series. So there was a lot of fucking guys in my company.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, actually, let me bring it back. When you had to do your pit, was it that rubbery stuff like we used to do with the martial arts? Did they put you in that type of pit where it's like little
Negative.
rubber pieces? Oh,
Negative.
they
It
did.
was it was a straight up Vietnam looking fucking pit with fucking sandbags and everything, and they had camo
Okay.
netting above it, so you're in the shade and everything, and you actually go down a corridor like a trench line tunnel, and I'd say that was a good 15 feet long, and you come into the circle. Each of you come in at a run on the pit.
Okay.
It's
What about
it's
you,
straight
Alex?
up you trench fighting, you know what I mean? Straight up you trench fighting, you're going through the trenches and you run into another motherfucker with a bayonet kind of deal. It's fucking fun.
Oh yeah. What about you, Alex?
I remember the one
Did you get beat
where you
up?
get the one shot and you're running down a trench line, and then when you enter the pit, it whoever gets the hit, it's like a one-time shot deal. Whoever get you don't even like enter the ring together and face each other. No, you bum rush in through a short little tunnel, like a trench, and as soon as you fucking come out the hatch, you're fucking swinging and you're knocking the other out. And yeah, that like Nolan was saying, there'd be bets placed and to see how many more they get out of the other. But uh, like Nolan was saying, the series we had 8 or 7 platoons with like 80 to 90 guys in it because of the extras.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of fucking guys going through and seeing which one was going to be the one and who's going to. That was the one I was saying earlier that kid was supposed to have won the McDonald's. He was supposed to have gotten a Happy Meal or some shit from McDonald's because he won the Pupil Sticks. We had a guy in our platoon that was just dead ringer one after another one because he was like fucking 6'4", 6'4" or some shit,
Jesus.
tall
God,
and lanky, and so he
that's
just,
easier,
yeah, when you got like 4 or 5 inches on someone else, you're like, all right, dude, aim high, Willis.
right? It's
And
crazy,
then, and
man.
then the funny part would be sticking the tallest dude against the shortest guy, like he would, like they
Yeah.
find the dude from the other platoon that had the little man syndrome, so they fucking be like, all right, let's go, dude, go against Goliath.
It's,
So we didn't go into anything like that. That sounds fucking badass with the trenches and shit.
I
We
know,
just had this
right?
like we had this like canopy sawdust pit type area, and we just got told how to do it, and they would just pair us up, and then if we sucked at it, you know, they would correct us, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
But
right.
it was more of just learning the actual techniques. But we didn't have any like big contests or anything. It was all within the same platoon, so it's just 30 guys. Um,
Okay,
so it was very small scale.
right. I'm gonna say this is probably my least favorite. It was my favorite at the beginning of wanting to go in and do the Pugil Sticks because I was like, oh yay, I finally get to fight. I've just been a fighter since my terrible twos. But it's a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. The way I was having to like hold this pugil stick, it wasn't like heavy, but the way you had to like force your stick up and beat these, it was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. It wasn't like I didn't get beat up, but like I got my butt handed to me by the other chick just because she did better. But yeah, I couldn't swing for nothing. But going into it, I was thinking of in the army now when he was doing his pugil sticks, trying to beat up his drill instructor. So I was trying to remember how he manhandled his pugil stick, and I went in thinking I could do the same thing. And yeah, no, it was a lot harder. But we were actually on that little rubber, what do you call it? It's kind of like sawdust, but the way these chunks are, but it's the rubber pieces. We used to do our martial arts on it and stuff like that. It was this big old like overhead dome or whatnot, and we just go in there, kept it shaded.
Sounds that you are hearing are live rounds. You will get the fear out of you. Keep moving. If you pick your head up, you will get fucked up. Find out if we have some bitch in you. You guys crawl like old people fuck. Keep moving. Get the fear out of you. Keep moving. Do not fuck up. Keep moving. I can't. Keep your head down. Come on, man. No. Keep it moving. Just fucking move. Come on. No. Keep moving. Do not fuck up. Fucking do it. Keep moving. Come on. I can't. Keep moving. Don't fuck up. Keep your head down. Ceasefire. Ceasefire. Corman. Shit! I told you to keep your fucking head down. If you listen to me, you will still be fucking alive right now. Stupid fuck!
We were the first series, and the reason why I know we were the first series is because they give you a week in boot camp where you have to do work around. You work in the chow hall, you sweep, you mop, you paint, so on and so forth. And one of the chores I had to do during that week was get a building ready. And then, like a week or two later, we were the first series to go through the Marine Corps Martial Arts program, the MCMAC program, and it was a brand new building and everything like that. And that was the first time I've ever been in a 3-ton. And a 3-ton is a civilian version of a deuce and a half. But it's white cab and it looks like a military back end, and it's a little bit longer than a deuce and a half. And I went through that program and it was pretty fun. That's when you get your gray belt. And then when I got to the fleet, I got my tan belt.
Okay.
I remember this is another one because again there were so many of us that they didn't have enough of the rifles with the fixed bayonets, because you know when they teach you the rifle maneuvers with the bayonet on it, then they send you through the court. They actually give you a dummy rifle with a real bayonet on it to slash at the dummy or when you go up approach to it. But there was so many of us that were there. Like most of us were using some old janky ass one. Like mine was literally, my bayonet was bent like that. Like it was no longer. Like, you know, one dude picked one. It was so fucking bent that they just took it off and went, fuck it. Like he had to use a dummy one, or they just said pretend that there's one on there, or you know, just cycle through and wait. And so it was my training was pretty good, but it was, again, it's always gonna, maybe I'm afraid a lot of these questions are gonna break back to, well, because of so many of us that were going through at the time, there was, you know, not enough this, or we didn't actually all use a real bayonet and stuff like that. But it was that was probably like my most funniest one, because again, another kid had one that was so bent side that when they were trying to do that maneuver where you're using the bayonet in the rifle to swap and move, slice, and or to move someone else who's charging at you with a bayonet. Well, the dude on the mannequin was hooking his bayonet with the other so much that he's like, the drill instructor came out and was like, "Hey man, you're not trying to fuck the other dude's bayonet and weapon with your bayonet. Like, you know, hook it and get it out of the way, dude." But the way it was bent so much, he was just giving him shit.
Crazy, man.
No, we all of it's based off of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So and then advanced, and the advanced is like where you learn how to put your finger behind a hammer of a pistol so that they don't shoot you, you know, like that type of shit.
Okay.
So that's like special forces type of stuff. But we just got taught the level 1, but we didn't get certified or anything like that. So we got taught, like, you know, rear naked chokeholds, like how to dodge basically boxing type shit, that type of
Yeah.
stuff. I actually got when they were showing the rear naked choke, my drill sergeant did it on me because I volunteered, and
Oh yeah.
I was supposed to tap out, and I was like, "Fuck that! I'm gonna make him choke me out." So actually, I
Get in
actually,
trouble.
yeah, I went unconscious for a while. Waking up to a drill sergeant yelling at you is fucking wild. It's so much different than waking up out of sleep. It's like you're waking up and you just still don't have enough oxygen going to your brain yet.
Yeah.
All right. Probably calling
But
you a dumbass for not tapping.
yeah, so we had to do a lot of that. It's basically a lot of what you see in the UFC when they're not actually throwing punches and shit. When they're on the ground and stuff. It was pretty fun.
Grappling.
And then the bayonet training was, God, that was stupid. I mean, it was,
Defeats the
how
purpose
hard
of
is it
today's
to?
modern wars.
Yeah. I mean, you have a stick and you're stabbing people. Yeah, I got it. Okay, that's pretty much all you need to
Civil
know.
War stuff we're trying to still do.
Yeah, and one of our things that we had to do too was like, I mean, you guys had dummies, obviously. One part of the fucking bayonet training was just so ridiculous. Half of us were fucking cracking up laughing because it was so stupid. You had to run like 150 yards, screaming at the top of your lungs. And if you didn't scream, you had to go back and start doing it again. But I'm talking literally like 150 yards screaming, running towards this dummy, trying not to fucking laugh. And then when you get there, you have to fucking slice. And then when you stab, you have to yell, kill, kill, kill. And then stab him again, kill, kill, kill. And if you weren't screaming loud enough, your drill sergeant would make you do it over and over. And so, like, I think I had to do it twice. And I literally, the hardest part about it was just to not laugh because it was
Right.
so over the top ridiculous. I mean, no one's running 150 yards anymore to fucking stab someone.
Exactly.
This will serve in place of your PTN test. This is a go, no-go exercise. You will tread water for 1 hour. You touch the wall, you fail. You touch the bottom, you fail. You fail and you go home.
Senior, this school operates on a two-challenge rule. We can't throw them out on their first day.
If you cannot survive in a warm pool of water, then you have no business being here. Does this class understand? Yes, Chief! Hoorah, class 5506. Now, who here can tell me the rescue swimmer's motto?
So others may live, Senior Chief!
Oh, feel safer already. You willing to sacrifice your life so others may live, Goldfish?
Yes, I am, Senior Chief!
You will have to earn that right. I want all of you to think about that. There's going to come a time when you reach the point of exhaustion. You want to give up. The question is, will you?
It's level 1, 2, 3, 4, and then, or I'm sorry, 4, 3, 2, 1, and WSQ or something like that, which is your scout swimmers and your rescue swimmers. I got up to 2, and then I went to do the training on 1, and I started feeling me getting sick, and I'm like, I'm not getting to med set platoon. So literally within an hour, I fucking failed swim qual 1. And this was after you complete your first week of swim qual, and then on the following Mondays when you start swim qual 1, because there's only like a dozen of you out of 300. And I got out of that, and my DI knew what I was doing, and I literally told him, I says, I'm starting to get sick. And this recruit, my bad, there ain't no fucking I in that sentence. This recruit is starting to feel like he's getting pneumonia or something and everything. And he made me go over to medical before I went back to the platoon. So swimming was fun. I grew up in California. We had a pool a couple of times in a couple of houses we lived in. I've swimmed in rivers and lakes and stuff like that. So swimming was a really fun thing for me. But I realize there's a lot of people out there that have never been swimming, never went to a public pool, didn't have a friend that went swimming. Nobody took them to a lake or a river. And it just, all my friends, we all knew how to swim. Everybody knew how to swim,
Like no one was saying, it always baffled me on like meeting someone and they're just like, I don't know how to swim, and you're just like, wait a minute, like same deal. Must never been taken anywhere as a kid because there's always like a handful, 6, 7, 8 that just don't know how to swim, so they gotta watch them more particularly. Um, I caught bronchitis and almost got held behind because I was gonna miss what was it? I think the last qualification for my swim qual because the bronchitis, and I had to take it out. So, but eventually I was able to clear up enough on that to catch up on the training on it. My favorite part was like being able to jump off. They give us the dummy rifles, and you'd have like your rucksack and some of your gear with you, and they teach you how to basically float with that and jump with that and not drown with it and shit.
Yeah.
Um, so again, like that one being like the being around people that just weren't used to or have the privilege to go swimming and didn't know how to swim. It was just kind of like a shit, man, this is gonna suck for you guys kind of deal. Like they panicked a lot, and you try to sit there even when you could chat with them prior, when you had some of that downtime, like, hey, dude, well, if you try to run some steps with them on, this is just some basic shit to do, and above all, don't panic over it. Just, do the doggy paddle deal. And
We actually got to do it with the guys though this time. Not like co-ed, but they were just in the same pool as us, and we were doing it. It was a little hard having to move with the gear, I think, but floating on my back and stuff. I didn't even have to blow up the pants or the shirt like they taught us. It was really easy for me just to float on my back and then just out of sight, out of mind, just staring out into nothing. But I tried to put myself further out into the pool because I saw a lot of people who didn't know how to swim, like Nolan was saying. They were just panicking and like not knowing how to keep themselves above water. So I had to keep myself away from them because they were trying to grab other recruits and pull them down with them. So I was not having that.
The deadliest weapon in the world is a Marine and his rifle. It is your killer instinct which must be harnessed if you expect to survive in combat. Your rifle is only a tool. It is a hard heart that kills. If your killer instincts are not clean and strong, you will hesitate at the moment of truth. You will not kill. You will become dead Marine. And then you will be in a world of shit. Because Marines are not allowed to die without permission. Do you maggots understand? Sir! Yes, sir! Outstanding, Private Pyle. I think we finally found something that you do well.
Sir, yes, sir!
So we did a lot of training with our rifles leading up to it. I'm sure you guys did too. But when we actually got to the range, so yeah, I think we got 3 times on the range, and then we had to qualify. So it was just a whole day of shooting. I think we got 90 rounds per day, and then for qualification, you only got, was it like 40? I think it's 40.
Okay.
I don't know how, I mean, it was very straightforward. We had to do like the 3 positions. There's a lot of waiting around because you just had to wait for other people to finish and all that. But the range at Fort Knox was awesome. Like it was really cool. Like they had heated targets and they would pop up and they were all metal and like the full range type experience. We had a lot of death by PowerPoint. And then we had to carry our rifles pretty much everywhere we went. So uh, it was always like, pull it aside, sergeant training. Let's see you break it down, put it back together, yada, yada, yada. We were well versed. Like even before we shot, everyone knew how to do everything. Then they would, I mean, the drills were always out there watching, making sure that you were doing it correctly, kick you in the fucking helmet if you sucked and were doing something unsafe, that type of shit. So,
Okay.
yeah. Oh man, I think it's every 50 meters. So like 50, 100. Might have skipped 150 and went to 2 and then 250 and then the 300-meter was our final target. And there was, I think, 2 of the 300-meter targets when we were qualifying. And so they said if they pop up and you kind of are not very good, just to skip them. And that way you'd have an extra round for another target. So, which came in handy for a couple people. I know I think I got 39. I never got below that. So, when I qualified, I got a perfect score of 40. So,
Okay.
yeah, we had to do the prone, supported, unsupported, the what is it, squatting? I can't remember what it's called, like where you're like kind of sitting on one boot.
Yeah, the
You know what I
kneeling.
mean?
That's what we call it. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really
I
awesome.
can't.
Sitting, kneeling, standing.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the 3 we
Three
had to do.
basics. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was
Okay.
they were supported and unsupported. So we'd have
Okay.
sandbags and then no sandbags.
Yeah. Who's controlling our targets? Did you guys have other troops in the pits doing that, or did they have somebody specific doing it for you?
Couldn't tell you.
Oh, so you didn't
It
have
was
to maneuver those?
Yeah, it
Okay.
wasn't us doing any of that stuff. Like the
Interesting.
targets just started. I know they had a tower. I don't know if they were controlling them, like there was some kind of automation, or like buttons that they pressed, or if there was dudes sitting out there, raising them up. I'm not sure.
Okay, so with us, there's 2 relays, okay? And then with the 2 relays, one's working the butts by one shooting, and then you shift over. And in each relay, it's a 3-man team. So you shoot 1, 2, 3, switch over, and then shoot 1, 2, 3. And that way each target stand gets 60 shooters or 6 shooters. And basically it's a lot similar to you. For us, we get, I would say, 3 to 4 days training without ever firing a round, and you call it snap in. Yeah, 3 days. 3 days snap in. And then, so it's a 55 gallon drum barrel, and you make a circle around it at a certain 25 steps. And on it is 3 targets. And each one is supposed to represent the distance of where you're standing 25 steps away or something like that. And it represents 200, 300, and 500 meter or yards on your targets. And you take out the magazine follower, and then you load it in, and you can dry fire it. Continuously charge, fire 1 shot at a time, and practice. Then on the 4th day, you're given 50 rounds, you shoot, and that's your, I can't remember what they call that one. And then you have your second shoot with another 50 rounds the next day, which is your pre-qual. And that's where they put your dope in. So the first one's basically, here you go, let's practice what you learned. The second one is your pre-qual, let's dope in your sights. And then on the third one is your qualification, where you get your third and final 50 rounds of ammunition in boot camp. So 150 rounds to train 1 rifleman in boot camp. And basically what happened with me, because I've been shooting since I was 4.5, I had really, really bad habits. And when I went to qual, I finally figured out the actual way to look at it. You don't focus on the rear sight, you focus on the front sight, with the rear sight being blurry and your target being blurry, with your front sight fixated in between 2 and lining up your shot. I was always focusing on my rear sight focused, and then my front sight blurry with the front sight, or with the target blurry. Well, eventually I figured it out, and my range coach, he was kind of pissed about that. And he switched it up and changed it up fairly early. So I got my dope corrected, but I scored pizza box, which is marksman. It's just a square box with a target inside of it. And but but my relay won against the relay next to us of 6 Marines. And our platoon won best shot out of the series, because there's 3 platoons per series, 6 platoons per company, 2 series. So it's competition of these 3 platoons and these 3 platoons, and then series against each other. And that's 1 week's worth of Marines training at MCRD San Diego. And you also have what are called rejects, or somebody who unked, and they failed the rifleman's course, so they have to go back and do it all over again and get recycled. Because if you can't pass the rifleman's, or if you can't get marksman on the rifle course, you get kicked out of the Marine Corps. I think they give you 2 tries or 3 tries, and
Yes,
then
it
they kick
was.
you out. Yeah, they won't accept your ass.
Yeah.
And on the system, it was basically like this. You have your 200 where you do your sitting and your kneeling. You have your 300 yard where you do your sitting and you're standing in your 200. Your 200 standing and kneeling. At your 300, you do your kneeling and your sitting. And then at your 500 yards, which the Army doesn't do, they do up to, like, your regular riflemen do like 400 yards or something like that. We do the 500, and that's the only one we do where it's prone. And all 50 shots are done like that. So you have 20 shots at the 200, 20 shots at the 300, and 10 shots at the 500. And if you score all 50 shots and hit black, it's called a possible or probable, perfect or whatever. And what I was told was Lee Harvey Oswald got one. So Lee Harvey Oswald got 50 out of 50 in boot camp. And it happens. I think we had 1 or 2 guys in our company that had 50 out of 50. You know, it happens still. Good shots. Yeah, I was 2 ranges over from the range Lee Harvey Oswald shot at in boot camp.
Okay. Aren't you
And
special?
our drill instructors, our range coach brought all that up. They bring it up every boot camp on because see, that's where we're not at MCRD San Diego. This is where we do our 1 month north at Camp Pendleton Edison Range, and Edison Range is where Lee Harvey Oswald trained, or so the lore went.
I mean, we had Elvis Presley that went through Fort Knox.
That's true. I forgot.
Nice. The king himself.
I don't know if it was a time period change or not, but I don't know nothing about the number of targets you hit. It's all about hitting black on the target. So my score on the range was like, when I got out, 340 something. In boot camp, it was a sharpshooter, so it was like somewhere just under 300. And so the point scale, so it went to a point scale.
Right.
So they want you hitting the center black. That's where you get your max point. Anything outside that is like, 3 points. Beyond that, it's like a bullseye, like playing darts. So by the time we were going through, it was 350 points would be your max. So anything between 300 and 350 would give you expert. 299, 240-ish would give you sharpshooter. Somewhere at that 40-ish line, like 230 down to like 190 would be marksman. Anything below 190, you had to retake the course. And I don't know if the drill instructors said this to like fuck with this kid. because we had a couple kids. You know, you guys got some people in boot camp that, like we were just saying earlier, Nolan. If you can't shoot, they'll send you through it again.
Yeah.
So there was a couple cats that got that, but our drill instructors told him, like, don't worry, you'll repeat this 22 times if you have to. Which just means you'll be here for 2 years.
Fuck that shit.
But it was on a point system. I don't remember how many targets it was, because when they gave us our card, you had your targets on the 100, 300, 500 yard line. And you had your set amount of targets. I don't remember how much it was, but at the end of the day, you were totaling up how, you know, where you were shooting at. You know, when you shoot, you mark on your little notebook, oh, this is where I thought I hit it. The thing would go down. You know, like Nolan was saying, there's so many of us going through, and at this point too, like I was mentioning with the extras from the East Coast during that hurricane season, we had like 4 or 5 people in boot camp. We had like a lot more numbers in lining up to go shoot. And then, you know, we had that whole swapping would be like half the day. Like first series would shoot, lead series would shoot in the morning, and follow series would shoot in the afternoon. And it would be like, oh, our platoon, our company, you know, our platoon is pulling the shit for, you know, the platoon that's like 2 ahead of us, you know, in the number lineup of our company. And when they would pull down the thing and pull it back up, wherever they put the pasty at, that would be, so you'd mark that, you know, you'd mark where you think you hit shot, and then you would mark where you actually hit, and then you mark that score number, and then you'd go from the 103 to the 5, and then you'd count that all at the end. The only thing that was a little different was you'd go from the round circle targets, and then the 500, we had the black silhouette target. And I believe my company was either the last or the second to the last unit, because shortly after I got to Fleet, a few months down the road, we were the last ones to go through boot camp with iron sights. I think after 2009, in 2009, they started making it standard for boot camp to shoot with the ACOG, but we were using iron sights. I was even using iron sights when I was going through MCT. We actually had a kid that fucking ran off. Like, it's like, dude, we finally get to go shoot shit.
Jesus!
And be out here and do this, and now you're gonna take off and bitch out and run off the.
Get back in front of the car.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, officer. I'm sorry.
All right, man. You know, and he came back, like we were already gone through our range and was doing field exercises. And so you're staying out, when you do that, you stay out in the field more than you do in the barracks. And we came back, and it was like our last week there. So this was like around week 3 towards the end. And there he is sitting in the squad bay, kind of like they either had just uncuffed him and he was sitting on, or I think he was, they told us not to look at him. If he got a glimpse at him, but the MPs had brought him back. And then the drill instructor's just like, yeah, dude, well, guess what? You're going to be here going through it anyways.
Yes, no, maybe.
Yes, sir.
Fuck you, something. Anything.
Yes, sir.
And now you're going to have shit for it. And all these guys just finished up, and we all just got done shooting and blowing shit up and shooting guns. And, you know, they'll bring some things out into the field to show you. You know, contrary to believe, I know the story of the drill instructors. They do haze the shit out of you.
My needles get out, and then
My! That's recruits, sir! That's recruits!
Because they got the privilege to, but then they also sit there and you get some real heart-to-heart times with them, and they'll show you. So some of the cats brought out some fucking some bigger weapons for us to demonstrate and see out there in the field. And senior drill instructor just threw that out all on the table. You just missed out on all that. Weren't you all having fun out there, Marines? Yes, sir. Yes, senior drill instructor. Did y'all have fun shooting on the range? Yes, senior drill instructor. Oh, looks like he's going to be sitting in the brick. Gave you just, threw it in his face and rubbed it in, dude. And it was kind of like, all you had to do was just chill here. We're already halfway through. And he ran across that highway bridge. His old man, I think, like his dad or his grandfather turned his ass in. Or his, no, it was his mother, dude. He ran home, called up his mom and everything. He was the one that was telling us, like, his daddy and his grandfather served or some shit. They were both Marines. And well, he ran home and called up mommy, and mom was the one that fucking turned him in.
So I don't want to reiterate things kind of already been said, but some of the things that I really kind of stood out to me was definitely having our own PI, the way he sat down and taught us how to really breathe. Because growing up myself too, I grew up shooting weapons, so the rifles, handguns. I did that with my dad and my stepdad. So going in, I kind of had an understanding of how it feels in my hands and how to shoot. But the difference was is he's talking about the breathing exercises and how to calm yourself and what to look for and how to actually look through your sights. So I really took away from that. That was really enjoyable. But the best part about, I think, going to the rifle range was that break from your drill instructors just hounding you all the time, because that was our second phase. So going there, we weren't near our barracks anymore. Just like Alex said, they take you out to another separate squad way by itself, and you're kind of sleeping out there for the next, however, I think like a couple weeks, just doing this whole rifle range qual and whatnot, and just teaching you how to do all this stuff. So I started giggling during Alex's story because when we were doing our barrels, where we were BZOing in and just kind of getting the practice of how to use our sights, we were so exhausted. I feel like half of us was like the best time to finally take a nap. And so while we're in the prone position, we're just sleeping more than actually doing the training. And it's just, yeah, drill instructors, they'd come by and you're like, you'd shake up a little bit awake, but as soon as they pass by, you're going right back to sleep. And I'm just like, I remember how exhausted we were, but it was the best break ever to kind of just get away with some stuff. But while we were also out there, I know we were also still PTing and doing some other things. And that was like my very first time I got yelled at, like for actually screwing up because I was being lazy when it came to my socks. So we always had to be uniform. That's just the military in itself. We always had to look uniform. And well, I chose black socks instead of white socks. And so I was hoping I could get away with it, but I didn't. As soon as I ran right out that squad A's, as soon as one of the drill instructors just saw me and just was on me on top of me, like, really, you want to really kind of do this right now? So actually still screaming at me. She had me run back to the squad bay to change my socks and come back. And I was actually being lazy because I was pretty tired. Like I just did not want to give my effort. So I was kind of shuffling along. And she's like, "Oh, really? You want to do this slower?" She made me run back to the squad bay and start running right back to the squads. And I just, we played fuck games for a little while just because I didn't want to wear the correct socks. So that was a nice spill, but I had a good time. I loved the rifle range. I looked forward to that because I grew up on weapons, and I was like, that's the one thing I already knew how to do and couldn't fuck up. So I did really well. I actually got sharpshooter. I do have my manual still, and I kind of thumbed through it and whatnot just to kind of see how I qualified. I've still got my BZO targets and whatnot. So it was fun to kind of look through that before I got on here with you guys. We did get to do the pits though. So when I was talking about with you, Brody, is not only are we shooting in these relays, so there's two big groups. The group is shooting at first, and then the second group is behind the targets. And how they work is there's these massive targets, and then they're on these two massive sticks, and you got two people to each target. Because what you're doing is while one person's plugging up the shot holes, the other person's targeting where the shot was taken, and then you're kind of putting it up on these kind of like we call those chains, kind of like bicycle chains is what they look like. And it's kind of fun to kind of look at from behind, but that's just what we're doing behind there. So we didn't have some like machine or anything like what you had. That was what I kind of thought was a little exciting. So other than just shooting, you got to kind of go back there and chill out for a while. And they kind of snuck us some candy sometimes here and there, the range officers or whatnot. So I think that was my best time, I think, throughout basic training, getting away with that one little piece of Hershey Kiss that they gave us, just letting it savor in my mouth. I think that was like the best Hershey Kiss I've ever tasted in my life. And the range officers looking at us all weird, like, just eat that motherfucker. And we're like,
They
yeah,
gave you
candies
chocolate
and
to
like
calm
fucking
your fucking
ever.
nerves down. Oh my God.
Like I literally, I still savor that memory because I mean, me and this girl looking at each other, we're like, we're not letting this go to waste. We're letting it sit in our mouth and just melting and just remembering how sweet it tasted. They didn't give us any candy, nothing sweet, basic training. So it was good times then. Those are the memories that I had.
Flying low and feeling me. Flying low and feeling me. By the family, by the stream. By the family, by the stream. Tickle a pear and hear 'em scream. Tickle a pear and hear 'em scream. 'Cause napalm sticks to kids. 'Cause napalm sticks to kids. Family of goops are sitting in the ditch. Family of goops are sitting in the ditch. Little baby sucking on his mama's tit. Little baby sucking on his mama's tit. Chemical furs don't give a shit. Chemical furs don't give a shit. And napalm sticks to kids. 'Cause napalm sticks to kids.
Road.
Oh man, it's hard to remember if we actually had dedicated PT or if we just got our asses smoked the entire time all day.
Bit of both.
I can't, I don't ever remember being in PT gear. Might have done a couple runs, but other than that, I don't remember actually practicing push-ups. Like every single time we came back to the barracks, we always had to do pull-ups. Um, and then like I think I told you guys before, we had that, like the rubber tar pit, and then it moved up to the sawdust and then the fucking sand, and you had to sit there and you just get smoked in this one until someone pukes, and then they had to pick up their puke, put it in their pocket, and go up to the next one, and then we all got smoked there, and it was just a lot of fucking what did you call it? IT? What was that?
Intensive training.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was just
yeah,
a lot of that. When because we had to qualify before we even started OSIT, I think. I don't even think you could start doing that, but I think we had to do one right at the end too, like right at the end of sticks when we came in, like the 16th week. But by that time, I don't think anyone failed at all. I mean, it was a breeze. The Army standards are not like crazy either. I think it's like 50, no, I think 40 some push-ups, 40 some sit-ups, and then the 2 mile in under 16 and a half minutes. So it's pretty easy. But yeah, I mean, I just remember in OSIT, it was nothing but getting smoked all the time. Like everywhere we would go, they would find a reason. You know what I mean? Like they would just find any reason, like at all. And even if you were right, everyone, even if everyone was squared away, it'd be like, well, we just got to the range, or we just got to this fucking course, or this, instructor. Let's just find something and just smoke everyone. So it was like we had quite a number of PT, but it was just not dedicated PT.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I was in the delayed entry program, we had to run a mile and a half because the first initial PFT that they did on us in boot camp was a mile and a half, and I think 20 pull-ups and 100 crunches in 2 minutes, so 120 seconds, 100 crunches. And that was the last time I ever ran a mile and a half I never ran under 3 miles except with a gas mask. I did 2 miles on those. But that was the last time I ever ran a mile and a half. And then the rest of the time in boot camp, it was 3 miles. They had a little bit of weightlifting. It was basically old school coffee cans filled with cement with a bar in between. There was no dumbbells or anything like that. We moved sandbags. One of my favorite, or I'm sorry, one of the favorite trainings my senior DI did, top green belt or whatever they call them. He would make you do and drill with your rifle when you got to do port arms. The first one is you bring it up just a smidgen on your rifle where it's off the deck, and you just make you hold it there. And another thing they would do is they'd make you hold your rifle out as long as you can. And I remember there was this big guy, what was his name? He became a mortarman. And there's this big guy, and he lasted the longest. And by the end of it, like, you know, even like the DIs are like doing encouraging, shouting at him, you know, let's see how long this Marine or this recruit will make it. And I remember one time I was running during the rain, my 3 mile in boot camp, and that's how I know the plane is literally 100 yards from me when I do the running, because the plane ran, and you know the vapor trails at the ends of the tips because of the rain. It just it made like a fog, and it just, the vapor trail just lofted into us while we were running, and it was just one of the coolest things, I thought, you know, because I hated running. Running is the worst fucking thing. And then humping, you know, hiking with packs and stuff. Like, I hated those two things. And with the running at 3 miles, I think I usually had around 24 minutes. The qualifications for the miles is 18 minutes to 28 minutes. And then I found out when I got into the Fleet Marine Force, into my company, that 24 minutes gets you on remedial training. So I had to learn how to get down to like 21 minutes on the 3 mile.
Sorry.
Well, PT was just like going to church, man.
Oh.
Every morning, every Sunday, all day, every day is Sunday. So
You're pretty
it
fast.
was like,
You seem kind of like lengthy. You look like you would be a
it was
fast
like,
runner.
No, it took me a while to work up all my stuff through like high school. What sucked was like after my fucking shoulder fucked up on me, like it was kind of difficult doing PT again and like getting my pull-ups to go back up, and every time I would run, the motion of my arms swaying, my shoulder would just be fucking aching. But like we always do like a lot of group like formation runs in the morning around the sand pits and in the chow hall area and shit. Fucking I know, like, yeah, running sucked a lot, but sometimes for PT, you'd get to go through like the obstacle courses. That's kind of what I like to do, was the obstacle course part of the PT, because then it kind of gave you like, okay, hey man, like I'm standing here waiting to go through, so here's my downtime. I can rest and relax a little bit, and you know, I got a late name in the alphabet, so I'm a bit back here, and I can watch these guys go through and see what they're doing wrong. So it's kind of like, all right, man, I feel like I'm the contestant on the next, you know, American Ninja Warrior, or one of those fucking obstacle course game shows. And it's like, well, because I don't know if you guys noticed a lot, but we had a crew of people who was actually coming through too, and they would film and take pictures for like at the end, oh, here, buy this book thing, you know, your yearbook for the platoon, and here's a little DVD from your graduation and your time in the training and all. So you like see them from the corner of your eye and shit. So then that would be in the head, okay, man, I'm going on America, you know, I'm the next contestant up here soon, and you know, I've already seen the last like 20 dudes go through it and beef it on that part, so I know where not to put my hand, and then fuck, you know, here's number 21 that goes down at that spot. So like obstacle courses were pretty fucking dope. Like I said, there's so many of us that they kind of had limit the time on everything. So we all ran through as much as we did on those. PT would be another, like, lead series would do theirs, then follows. So sometimes it'd be lead series in the morning for like the first couple weeks, and then
Mhm.
we would do our PT in the afternoon, in the evening when it was more hotter and shit, heat of the day, and then you'd swap and oh, now you're doing it butt crack early in the morning, 6 o'clock before chow, and then they're doing their PT in the evening. Because then that's what you would do for classes or any of the courses that we'd be doing, because we had those extra numbers from all that. Meant if they were doing it in the morning, we'd be doing it in the in the afternoon, and then
Mhm.
roles would be switched after a couple of weeks or a month or so.
Right. I know. I remember us. Like, it's probably no different than it was like the fleet, but we always had like three times a week. We were doing our regular PT, which is in the morning, like the Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But like Brody says, we were always doing something. So it wasn't like we weren't always exercising to begin with. We were walking everywhere. When it came to our rifles, once it came to that point in our training, we're carrying our rifles everywhere we go. So it was drill, drill, drill. But I know when it came to actual physical PTing, we would always do it with our sister platoon together. So they would always put us out there in these fields with that big old what is that, square platform or whatever, and that's where your drill instructors and stuff kind of like yell from and start to do stretching and whatnot with you. But that's where we did a lot of our exercises. But just the basics. All we did was run a lot. And I know that was a struggle point for me, especially in high school. I always struggled with that. I could even do a mile and a half in like 22 minutes. I was just not athletic. So going into basic training and then them forcing you just to keep on running no matter how much you just were dead to the ground. I just couldn't do it. I always passed, but I was like always barely passing. I don't think they really conditioned us correctly, I think, to be what they wanted us to be going through, which hey, that's why I'm doing the fitness, but yeah, I never enjoyed PT. I dreaded whenever they had to make us exercise. I never wanted to do it because I always sucked at it. It was like the worst thing. I would do anything else. I'll shoot a gun. I'm like, I'll go fight somebody, but I was like, do not make me go run for no freaking reason at all. But yeah, that was my struggle point. It never made sense to me. Like, just run somebody over. Yeah, I never enjoyed it, but I mean, it did condition me enough to where I finally understood why later on why they made us so physically fit. Like half the gear we used to wear going in the military, or sorry, into Iraq, like it was just so heavy. So it started to make sense later, but